How would Devious Diesel fare against the main Steam team, including Nia and Rebecca? Ah, yes, the first ever Diesel character to be introduced in Rupert Audrey's tenure, and once planned to be a random insignificant foil to Duck, then turned to be the more popular face, as everyone will know him as that rude bully Diesel. So today's matchup around base Gauntlet against the main Steam team, including Nia and Rebecca. How will he fare and could he beat them all? Before moving on, let's go over Diesel's bases, feats, and showings. Diesel's bases class 08 is absurdly strong for their size, like 35,000 pounds of tractive effort, WTF, but is hilariously slow, like 20 to 30 miles per hour. Despite what the official shows, like CGI's ignored. But onto his main feats, in the books to the shows itself, Diesel initially didn't have a lot of great showings from Railway series to the earlier model seasons, aside from defaming Duck and getting sent away, coming back a few times to manipulate Mavis, put down Gordon, pushing the clay trucks off the bay, and getting tricked by the trucks and falling into the boat, and almost getting Fergus scrapped. Hit era and eventually the entirety of CGI was the game changer. You know those eras that had Diesel not being afraid to play dirty in ramming into other engines? Shouldn't be too hard to understand if you're familiar with those. In one impressive CGI episode, No More Mr. Nice Engine, he is shown to be as on par or as strong as Hero, who can tackle a lot of heavy goods trains, having great endurance as per his in real life basis, and is able to outrun Spencer a bit in his pre overhauled form. For his mentality / intelligence, well, he is obviously a scheming and devious dummy and isn't really smart, generally speaking. Like, he got tricked by the trucks in season 6 for God's sake. But despite this, he does have good forms of skills and battle IQs, like manipulation and planning, such as turning the big engines against Duck or fooling Fergus to name a few. He does have some nice and good-hearted moments, of course, like helping Thomas in Christopher's book, caring for the children sometimes, owning up after tricking Percy, and saving the ducklings to name a few. For this matchup, I shall be using Devious Diesel at his peak / maximum wanks, just to give him a chance against most, although Steam Team shall also have their wanks too. So materials from Railway series to model to CGI materials as always, excluding magazine, annuals and other media. The round will go off the number from 1 to 12 with Nia and Rebecca being last. Starting with number 1, Thomas. This is a pretty close matchup between the hit era rivals and post CGI. I must say, as both of them do have similar feats and power kinds of tiers. But the ultimate tiebreaker here is that Thomas is more experienced and skilled, in addition to having more absurd feats like his durability, endurance, and even speed. Eventually, Thomas would simply chip down Diesel if he is able to shrug off as much biff and bash if he needs to from Diesel. So Thomas should win here, maybe high def at best, due to some obstacle being Diesel's raw power and overall bruteness. Number 2, moving on to Edward. Despite me being harsh on him before with James, I'll try be cordial with him here. Diesel's advantages over Edward is his form of strength, like striking / ramming, maybe stamina and attack potency to correlate. However, Edward still has his endurance and his form of power, such as, his pushing strength, despite me finding it overrated. So this round is going to be pretty rough for Edward, as Diesel can land in a lot of hits and could potentially win over the old Iron. But Edward's endurance, possibly his own form of raw power, his own strength, and overall IQ should lead him to finding a way around the Castle 8 scheme. Edward can win here, but it is not without a rough, high slash extreme difficulty. Number 3 and 4, Henry and Gordon. I mean, come on. Did you guys watch or remember Calling All Engines? The answer is pretty deadly obvious. Now on to number 5, James. Since I covered James 2 times already, Mr. Number 5 here has a even better advantages here, and despite what Diesel could try and do, James would simply just respond with maybe even more brute force and raw power and maybe even more striking strength of his own. So Diesel is gonna lose pretty badly here. Maybe he could be lucky to get it up to mid to high difficulty, but he's only delaying his loss with his own battle IQ and skills. Yeah, 0 out of 5. It is not looking good for the poor 08. Now, finally, I'm on to number 6, Percy. Okay, I'm gonna disagree here with people like Train Fan 234. Though Percy does have his own good feats, such as surviving a lot of odds, and at one point in Tale of the Brave, helped push and save James from the landslide, he is still let down by his smaller size and power. Not to mention, Diesel is still shown to be on par with Hero. So sad to say for Percy, but Diesel should win here with low to mid diff. Wow, he finally wins something. Toby, number 7, Nano Brainer, Calling All Engines Cannon moment. Now to number 8, the classic rivals at last, Duck. Could Duck best against that horrid engines who defamed him? Well, once again bad news. Even with all his wanks and materials, Duck simply is just way too left behind in terms of power and feats again, as I addressed before in my first video. Diesel, meanwhile, is boiled down bottom to top by the hit era to Mattel to somehow gain more feats and achievements. Like, do I need to bring up that on par hero feats? Which is something more than Duck could ever dream of. So, I apologize, but Duck may put up some struggle, but the defaming devious Diesels prevails once more, mid difficulty. Number 9 to 10, Donald and Douglas. Oh, I mean, come on. Donald and Douglas somehow manages to be even worse than Duck. The only few things they have against Diesel is their bigger size, maybe stamina, maybe some form of their raw power and intelligence, but still, that's just simply isn't enough compared to Diesel's absurd feats level of strength, durability, attack potency, heck, or any others. The only way they could beat Diesel is being together 2v1, but since this Godless is a one-on-one, it's another stomp for Diesel. Diesel clears them both separately. Low def, maybe medium difficulty if you really want to be nice. Oliver number 11. Oh, god damn it. Please don't try to shove those. Oh, but he ripped Scruffy apart. Oh, but he pushed trucks into the turntable. But he escaped mainland. In my face. Come back when composite Oliver doesn't get wiped out by a stupidly smirked wanked feet Percy. Diesel no difficulty. Head on. Emily, number 12. Oh wow, another Calling All Engines cannon moment. And should I mention, Emily can hold her own against, the long line of flatbeds left by those two disgusting cretins who call themselves Donald and Douglas. Diesel could try and chip some damages on Emily before eventually getting overpowered by her extreme wrath. Low to mid difficulties. Nia, though I haven't seen too much of Nia's best showing, since of course I didn't watch Big World Big Adventure all that much, I believe it is safe to say that she loses to Diesel pretty badly, as he just has better feats than she does. Diesel wins, no difficulty. Rebecca, well, does size really matter or not? But in this case, I believe it could be an obvious answer. Like, despite Diesel's having more feats than Rebecca, it still isn't exactly a close fight due to her bigger size, stamina, speed, overall strength, and everything, including a more effective attack potency physically of her own. Diesel doesn't have a way to overcome that if one strikes lands on him. Rebecca wins with low difficulty thanks to her basis stats. So, the overall score? It's a 7 out of 7. A, a surprisingly perfect middle ground. Diesel, with all his feats and material, should make it through half of the Steam team, and I was nice enough to give him the win over the likes of Duck, Percy, those Caledonian fathers, Nia, and that even father, Great Wisdom, Oliver. But against those with rivaling or surpassing feats like Thomas, and especially those bigger engines like Gordon and Henry, no surprise, it is a stomp. Edward was just close to losing to Diesel, but to be nice to him, after what I've done before, he won. But just barely. Because someday I may eventually change my mind on that. Devious Diesel, to conclude overall, may not exactly be the most strongest against most engines, especially again with those with rivaling slash surpassing feats, and certainly loses to half of the Steam team, or heck, the overall cast from Railway Series to CGI overall. At least he can still beat down any engines weaker than him. So in short, a middle tier ranker, I must say.